Coming to you from Forager Brewery in Rochester, our town.
We have a great show coming up today. We have beer, potatoes, and technology. That's later in the show. But we start with our talk. You could hear the buzz late last week when rumors started flying. A store in Rochester had sold $1 million winning lottery ticket. Today, I am delighted to welcome to our town Rochester's newest millionaire, Nick Sukla. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you.
So, here's what everyone wants to know, and I think we all know how we think we would feel, but how does it feel to win $1 million?
It's still a little bit crazy.
Right, do you feel like you're still kind of in this bubble? You haven't really had a chance to figure it out?
Yeah, I don't think it's quite sunk in yet.
Yeah.
But
So, talk me through it. Tell me, how does a person win $1 million? Do you regularly buy lottery tickets?
I do regularly buy lottery tickets. I don't regularly win, so
Yeah.
it was a bit of a shock.
So, you bought your ticket at Carol's Corn.
Yep.
Is that where you usually buy your tickets?
Yeah, I work right downtown, so it's right across the street from where I am.
And so, weekly?
Probably weekly, yeah. Yep.
So I will tell you, the week that you bought your ticket at Carol's Corn, I had also been down to Carol's Corn to buy the triple mix. And when I heard that a ticket had been sold there, I had this momentary feeling of excitement, like maybe I had won. And then I remembered that I didn't actually buy a lottery ticket. And that apparently you need to buy a ticket to win.
I guess so.
That's the rumor. So you buy your ticket and then you put it in your pants pocket, you toss it on your dresser. What happens next?
I just put it in my wallet. They have a tendency to accumulate in there. I don't check them as regularly as I should. This one itself was unique just because it did become quite a news story. I didn't hear about it myself. My wife actually heard about it.
She heard that a ticket that was sold in Rochester had
Yeah, and
won.
she knew I bought tickets regularly at Carol's Corn, so she sent me a text message telling me to call her that I didn't get until I was about to leave work. So she just said, I'll talk to you when you get home. And she said, yeah, somebody won $1 million at Carol's Corn. I was like, well, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. So at that point, you're not thinking, wait a second, I bought a ticket at Carol's Corn. It could be me.
No, like I said, I buy them regularly and don't win regularly. So I just assumed somebody was extremely lucky, and that has a tendency not to be me.
Right. So you go home.
Yep, sitting on the couch, pulled out my phone just because my wife said, well, you better check your ticket. And I looked at the Powerball, and I didn't get the Powerball, not surprisingly.
So right then you're like, okay, like usual.
As per usual, yes. Started to look through the rest of the numbers and recognized that all the numbers were the same on my ticket as they were on the winning numbers. So when I got to the fifth number and realized I had all of them, I wasn't actually sure what that meant. Having not won very much, I just wasn't sure how that broke down, so I had to look up how that ended up being, and I probably sat there for a solid 5 minutes before my wife said, what is going on? And I said, well...
Wait, so at this point, you hadn't said anything to your wife?
No, I was just staring at my phone in complete disbelief. And I said, well, I think I won $1 million.
And your wife says?
She was pretty much speechless as I was. After a little bit of the shock had worn off, we started to try to figure out what you do when you win $1 million.
Right.
The website doesn't really tell you
Right.
what you do. So I jumped on the computer quick, and it was about 5 minutes to 5, and found a phone number, and they closed at 5 o'clock. So
No.
I frantically called them, and thankfully somebody picked up on the other end.
And so who are you calling? You're calling the Minnesota
The
State
Minnesota,
Lottery?
yep, up in the cities. So the central office up there is the only one that stays open later.
Right. And you say, I think I just won $1 million?
Exactly, yes. And the woman was very nice and said, well, that would be very awesome. And I was like, yeah. So she had me read off a few numbers off of the ticket, and she's like, well, yeah, you are the winner, so I guess we'll see you tomorrow to come and pick up your check.
Now, were these numbers that were special to you, important numbers to you?
Absolutely not. It was a quick pick,
It
so
was
they were
just
just
computer
completely
generated.
random. Yep.
Nice. So now, do you actually get the big giant check?
You do get to keep the big giant check, yes.
And when you meet with, you hear these stories about people who win money and then maybe are irresponsible with it. Do they give you advice at all, or do they just give you the money and say, have a great life?
They give you the money. They give you a little advice. They talk you through the tax documents that you end up getting and let you know that the taxes that have been taken out probably aren't all of the taxes that are going to get taken out. So they give you plenty of warnings about and people scamming and things like that. So.
And it's probably a pretty big reality check. $1 million isn't actually $1 million.
No, it isn't.
And so right away you're told, here's what may happen. And
yep. Yeah. So they take off the initial percentage and give you a check and, tell you that you will have more taken out as it ends up being income and not just like a gift or whatever. So
will you buy another lottery ticket, or are you done?
I already have. I went to Carol's Corn that next Monday, and bought another lottery ticket. Yep.
So you're going to keep trying?
Absolutely, yeah.
So Carol's Corn is getting great publicity here. What's your favorite popcorn at Carol's Corn?
The triple mix. Yeah.
All right, that's mine too. All right, thank you so much for coming in today.
Our Town is brought to you in part by the following amazing people and organizations.
Clements Subaru proudly partners with award-winning KSMQ Public Television. Clements Subaru of Rochester. Clements' clear value promise is to make buying a car fast, fair, and simple. The University of Minnesota Rochester, an undergraduate health sciences university offering education designed to change tomorrow's healthcare. University of Minnesota Rochester, always in the heart of our community.
And the members of KSMQ Public Television. Thank you.
Now, what would I do with $1 million? What would you do for $1 million or with $1 million? Well, if you watched last week, the answer might be buy a food truck. You remember we had our friend Aaron Reeves, the clerk from the city of Rochester. He came on to talk about the new food truck proposal that's happening downtown Rochester. He also talked about a public hearing and city council meeting that was going to be going on. Well, it happened. It happened last Monday, and conversation went on for like 2 hours. There's going to be a resolution up for a vote on the next meeting of the council, and that'll be May the 2nd. Stick around for some great stuff coming up on Our Town. Spring is in the air. We'll head out to Sargent's Nursery to learn what plants there are in our area, what's hot this year. And we revisit the homes of architect Harold Crawford, some of his greatest works in town. And we'll talk Discovery Square with Patrick Seeb. Up next, though, Our Town checks out some of the best craft breweries right here in Rochester.
I don't think it's, places like Denver and Seattle and Portland, and these are all hotbeds right now, and Minneapolis has lots of breweries too. I think we're just seeing the trickle-down effect to Rochester now, and people appreciate craft beer here too. So, my name is Steve Finney. I'm the head brewer and one of the owners of Grand Rounds Brew Pub here in Rochester, Minnesota. Well, today actually just happens to be our exactly 1 year anniversary to the day. So yeah, we've been open 1 year. But I think generally craft beer in Minnesota is expanding rapidly right now, with over 100 breweries, some of those including brew pubs. So it's an exciting time for craft beer right now.
My name is Austin Jevney, and I'm the head brewer here at Forager Brewing Company at the Kutsky Market in Rochester, Minnesota. Behind the appeal is the personal connection that the staff, the brewers, the kitchen are all able to have with their customers. In comparison to a distribution company where you're handing off your product to a distributor to go sell it to different bars, that's a little bit more difficult to get to know your customers, and that's another reason I really was an advocate for doing a brew pub instead of distribution. You really get that connection with your community.
My name is Donovan Seitz. We're at Kinney Creek Brewery in Rochester, Minnesota. Craft beer is huge right now because when we opened up 4 years ago, there was roughly about 30 different breweries in Minnesota. And now, less than 4 years later, we're up over 100. And what that is doing is showing that people are starting to get the feeling that it's a lot more fun to go to breweries, it's a lot more fun to experience the beers. Everybody's got their own different personalities, and that's bringing it to a new limelight that it's fun to go out to the different tap rooms and different brew pubs.
I think it's the ultimate in a creative process. So you start off with some very basic ingredients, and you can make so many different things, and so many different flavors, aromas, and it's wonderful at the end of the day to have people enjoy your beer. So I enjoy coming up with new things.
My mom used to always joke, and she would say that I would take everything under like the bathroom sink and kitchen sink and kind of mix them together, make weird little concoctions. And so I've always had this interest in science, in chemistry, in microbiology. So it kind of lent itself directly to brewing.
And it changes with the season, it changes with the year to year with the hops that we have to work with, the malts that we have to work with.
Well, I think people have been excited about the beers we make. We have several house beers that we have on all the time, and you're trying to make sure that you appeal to many different people who have many different palates.
And we have some base beers. One of them is called Sherpa Survival Kit. It's an American double stout with coffee and chocolate added.
We have our coconut stout, which is our Hawaii 507 coconut stout. So it's an oatmeal stout, and it has toasted coconut and bourbon vanilla beans in there.
We've got a pepper beer that's going to come out with jalapeno serrano Anaheim peppers.
I think there's a lot of appeal to, again, just to have these beers that are unique and you can't get anywhere else.
That's funny, Hawaii 507.
My wife came up with that name, so she's pretty happy about that one.
For more information about this story and other Our Town features, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter at KSMQ #OurTown, or ksmq.org/OurTown.
Spring is here, and this time of year often brings a renewed interest in those fitness resolutions we made back in the dark days of January. I know I'm looking for more reasons to get moving or, watch other people move. Spring means baseball, of course. Nothing better than an afternoon at a Honkers game down at Mayo Field. Until the 7th inning when I'm ready for a stretch. I love seeing the community come together to cheer on the hometown team, munch on some popcorn, and get Slider's signature. I know I have a few. And who can deny the excitement of waiting for the root beer batter or the beer batter? Home opener is June 1st. If basketball is your thing, March Madness may be over, but on May 8th, you have the chance to watch one of the most talented teams in the WNBA. The Minnesota Lynx are coming to Rochester for their last exhibition game before regular season play begins. Normally, I love to cheer for the underdog, but it's hard not to love this hardworking, championship-winning group of women. Rochester is truly lucky to get a game here. And for you joggers, the Med City Marathon isn't that far off. It's time to up your training routine if you're shooting for the full 26.2-mile marathon. For those of us a little less crazy, the event also has a 5K and half marathon, along with family events such as a diaper dash, toddler trot, and kids marathon. So put May 28th and 29th on your calendar. That's it for Our Town Rundown. Next, Jennifer Rogers takes us on a tour of a local nursery. I know I'm getting excited about getting some plants in my own yard. Our Town Walkabout is next.
Hi guys, I am here with Scott Moon at Sargent's on 2nd Street. How are you?
I'm doing great.
That's good. So tell me, what kind of plants are these?
These are called pansies. They are considered an annual flower. They do really great in the springtime. They like the cool weather.
Okay, well, you know what? This looks like a good collection, guys. Let's take a look inside. So what's your popular seeds of this time of the year?
Well, you know, a lot of seeds, you know, people will start early inside their house, especially February, early March time frame. It kind of depends on what type of plants they are. But some of those seeds that you could plant right now directly into your garden would be the cool season type seeds. So it would be like lettuce, cabbage, broccoli.
Okay, what about the potatoes?
Well, potatoes are actually another one that's an early season that you can get in the ground. You don't just throw the whole potato in, you want to cut it into sections. And each potato has what we call eyes on them, or basically when you see them sprouting in your cupboard sometimes, those are little eyes. That's what's going to come up out of the ground. And so you usually want to have at least 2 good eyes per potato.
Okay, cool. So this looks like the Mother's Day collection. Tell me about it.
Well, you know, Mother's Day obviously is a very special day, and you know, moms, they like hanging baskets, they like fresh flowers, but they might also want just a nice little gift.
Well, guys, we are summing it up here. Thank you so much,
You're
Scott, for
welcome.
having us. And I am Jennifer Rogers, your host with Our Town Walkabout.
And Patrick Seeb is here. Hi, Patrick. How are you? Hey, good. Hey, he's going to answer our big question.
So stay with us to see what we discover. Hint, hint.
Back in a moment.
Our past. Remembering what made us who we are today. Brought to you by the History Center of Olmsted County.
It's difficult to travel far in Rochester without encountering a Harold Crawford structure. Born in southwestern Minnesota during the 1888 blizzard, the prolific architect and painter enjoyed drawing early on. For educational reasons, his mother moved the family to Rochester, where Crawford completed high school in 1908. He followed an architecture degree from the University of Illinois in 1913 with a master's from Harvard in 1916. Talented enough to go anywhere, Crawford chose to return to Rochester. Thanks to the boom times following World War I, Crawford's commissions grew steadily through the 1920s. Even the Depression of the 1930s had little effect on his business thanks to the success of the Mayo Clinic. As the pace of his work slowed in the 1940s, he spent much of his time painting watercolors. In a career that spanned from 1916 to 1966, Crawford produced more than 400 projects, drawing every line himself. He remained active in Rochester up until his death on May 8, 1981.
Destination Medical Center. Ever heard of that? On Our Town, we want to help bring understanding to this issue by thinking small. Let's break things down to get a better look.
Development for DMC will focus on 6 sub-districts. Today, Patrick Seeb of DMC fields our big question. What exactly are we going to discover in this sub-district? Welcome, Patrick.
I really love your approach,
Did you like that?
breaking it down, and making it small. Sometimes the idea of DMC is so big and overwhelming, people have a hard time getting their arms around it. And the idea of the 6 sub-districts is a way to break it down. And key to every sub-district is a great public space, So think of Peace Plaza, for example, which is part of Heart of the City, as a great public space. It's going to be improved upon, but similarly, these other sub-districts are going to have a great public place as a part of them.
Discovery Square.
So Discovery Square, Rochester is all about discovery.
Absolutely.
When you think about Mayo Clinic and the innovation and research and intellectual property coming out of Mayo, it is authentic for Rochester to say we're going to have a Discovery Square. And Discovery Square is all about really capitalizing on the knowledge, the talent, the innovation that comes out of Mayo and lots of other places. And what Discovery Square is saying, let's be intentional about that. Let's open our doors to the rest of the country to join us in this field of discovery and innovation.
So where is Discovery Square?
Discovery Square, you can think about it as a place.
It's a place in your mind.
And
it's a state of mind.
And it's a state of mind.
Okay.
And it's a
Right.
state of mind. That's
Right.
exactly right. That's exactly right. So first of all, let's talk about it as a state of mind. It's recognizing that we have a lot of talent coming to Rochester that are innovators, that are the smartest and the brightest in their field. And what if we were to really take advantage of that and be intentional about turning those into new businesses, to diversify Rochester's economy? Why ship all of that new knowledge off to the West Coast or the East Coast for startup companies? What if we did that here locally? So one, it's a state of mind that says, let's be innovative and turn that innovation into new jobs and new startups here in Rochester. From a place point of view, it is really using the association with the Mayo campus. And many people don't know that there are buildings on the Mayo campus that are dedicated to research, that are chock full of researchers. And what we're trying to do is really take advantage of that, externalize that, build new buildings in this area just adjacent to the campus in downtown Rochester that becomes home to new startups, to venture capital companies, to early stage companies that are innovating, particularly around health sciences, health technology, and that's what Discovery Square is.
It's easy for me because it's in such an early stage, and for you as you built this, and you're placemaker, is that right?
That's right.
One
Placemaking is a big part, yes.
part of it, but it's easy for me anyway to think of all this as kind of like, a Disney kind of entertainment, all these 6 different places, but you're talking about business. These are going to be places not like a theme park.
Yeah, the engine of the future of Rochester is Discovery Square. It is about jobs. It is about attracting talent and retaining talent. And the idea of placemaking, this goes to the point of it's not just about buildings. It's about creating a place where smart people from technology fields, smart people from cell therapy, smart people from other industries collide, if you will, with each other. Think about if you've attended and participated in Thursdays on First, which is this great melting pot of people from throughout the community, people from Mayo, people from the University of Minnesota Rochester, young people. It's this melting pot that creates all kinds of collisions, people who wouldn't otherwise see each other. And that's really, in a way, what placemaking is about. It's about creating places that are attractive to people. Economic development is creating an environment for jobs. Placemaking is a way of creating a place that's attractive for people that want to be there and will choose Rochester over all the many options they have for their work and their science.
So I can appreciate that. I love Thursdays on First. I love the community that I feel in Rochester. I think a lot of people have questions, though, also about what exactly is happening with the buildings. You talked a little bit about some new construction, but that doesn't mean that some of the historic buildings that we are proud of here in Rochester are going away.
I'm so excited about, in Discovery Square, for example, a historic building on 4th Street, the Conley Mass building, is being repurposed for a business incubator, home to a tech startup, a tech company, not a startup company, a well-established company, a new restaurant that its theme is innovation. Yeah. Its theme is experimentation and innovation around food. And that's a historic building.
Absolutely.
Chateau Theater, for example, historic building. It's going to be repurposed.
So history is part of place.
History is absolutely part of place.
Good point.
Absolutely.
And so will we see old buildings in all of these areas, all the 6?
I think from our point of view, we want to retain those historic assets as much as possible. And then there are plenty of places that are currently surface parking lots, for example, that would be perfect sites for construction, for building new buildings. So how do we repurpose historic assets? It creates a fabric. You think about historic 3rd Street and First Avenue and the walkability of that experience, and how do we retain that? How do we grow that? At the same time, new buildings are going to be built.
Well, I first met you 6 months ago when you first came around, and you look no worse for wear.
I'm more energized than even then. So thank you.
Because it's a lot to juggle, I'm sure.
There's so much enthusiasm and so much energy and so much opportunity here in Rochester. I see it every day, and it's really rewarding and affirming and exciting for me.
It is definitely an exciting time.
Yeah.
Certainly, and hey, we're just about out of time, but everybody's been talking about it. The news yesterday that Prince passed away, and as a broadcast here for southeastern Minnesota, it's hitting all the folks down here too, and songs we've loved. And you came from St. Paul area, memories of his music at all?
Yeah, it was a very proud day in St. Paul, and I was there at the time when St. Paul's Jazz Festival, a great jazz festival in Lowertown in St. Paul, in the historic district of Lowertown, and unannounced and with no pretension about it, Prince showed up, walked the crowd, wanted to hear the music. He was not on stage, he was not set to perform, he just wanted to be there. And that's my memory of Prince. That's how I think about him as somebody who just loved music and didn't need to be on stage to be enjoying it.
And like him or not, I mean, most did, but he really put Minnesota on the map too.
He did, and he was a hometown hero for many, many people.
I was traveling internationally last summer, and when I was trying to explain where I was from, when I finally realized if I said Prince, people from around the world sort of knew where that was.
Thanks, Patrick.
Yes. Thank you very much.
And that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time when we head around our town. So long.
Thank you very much.